My rental car's nav brought me into Secure from the west, angling south on Workman Creek Road just before the West Gate entrance and guard station. This route was how staff and visitors entered the city, parking just to the south of an imposing structure known as Main Secure. I was struck by the relatively small size of the parking lot. I had expected a multi-story parking garage in keeping with what I imagined would be a large staff, but what I found was a simple asphalt paved lot that could hold maybe 100 vehicles. My rental car dropped me in front of an arched overhead canopy that extended about 40 feet out from the building. Large lettering was integrated into the fascia to spell out a single word: forward. As I walked below the canopy, it came up short of the building by about 20 feet, but to keep people dry during rainy days, a second, higher canopy butted right up next to the building and extended out so that it overlapped the lower canopy. Hanging chains on the corners helped direct rain from the upper to the lower, and from the lower to the ground. Just before entering the sliding glass doors that had opened for me, I turned around and noted the same forward lettering on the fascia facing the building. Interesting. Once inside, the foyer was comfortably large, but certainly not grandiose. An information desk protruded out from the rear wall in a sweeping semicircle with only 2 people behind it. To the right was a wall with a guard station that included a metal detector, and a sign above the station read East Secure. Its twin for West Secure was to my left. I told one of the attendants who I was and who I was here to see, and they pointed me over to a section of chairs to wait while they made a call. About 5 minutes later, a short woman who looked to be in her early 60s with a little paunch to her figure and a little gray to her shoulder-length hair came through the West Secure guard station. She saw me waiting and immediately broke out into a big smile. "Hi there! You must be George. I'm Macie, and I'm a volunteer at Secure. I love your books. It's an honor." "Macie, the honor is mine. So nice to meet you." "I understand that I'm the first non-resident who will be living within the walls of Secure, even if it's just through July 4th. I guess I need to be on my best behavior, as it is apparent that you know some people who know some people." I can already tell that we're going to get along splendidly. Now, my understanding is that I'm going to get the entire new resident treatment. I can't tell you how excited I am. "Well, George, I'm told that there will be a few exceptions to our normal protocol, but nothing that will rob you of the experience. I'll point those out to you as we go. Now, let's get started by fitting you with a temporary location band." Macie escorted me back to the other person at the information desk, who removed what almost looked like a single handcuff from the drawer. She did something on a computer screen and then scanned a code that was embedded into the band. It was padded, and as she wrapped it around my left wrist, since I'm left-handed, she closed it and it ratcheted little by little until it was snug but not tight-fitting. She brought out a special key-like tool and locked it into place. "There you go. All the staff go through this same process every day, and when our shift is over, they then remove it. This is a slack time right now. In the early morning hours, the information desk has a few more people helping out. Now, if you will follow me, we'll go through security." I followed Macie through the West Secure guard station and metal detector, and then we turned right into a hallway with directional signs posted on the walls. We walked straight ahead until we exited the structure. I looked around me. I was now inside the city of Secure. "Just give me a minute, Macie, to take some of this in. I wasn't expecting the paved pathways, the landscaping, and all of the people walking about. Wait a minute, is that someone on a bicycle? Is that a tram over there? George, you're getting ahead of yourself. Here, walk with me over to that building. The two-story building that Macie was referring us to had glass doors opening out to a paved path directly in front of us, but Macie took me around to the back side of the structure where there was a small paved parking lot and another set of doors. A sign above the doors read, West Secure Processing Center. This is where the police and sometimes the homeless advocates enter with our new residents. I work in this building greeting and processing these new residents and making them feel at home. I'm going to show you today how it all works if that's okay with you. I mean, you know people who know people. Are you going to frog march me into that facility? Hardly. Why don't you take a seat and I'll be right back. I have to make sure that the rooms that I want to show you aren't occupied. I looked around in the waiting area and noted a few vending machines as well as a stack of well-worn magazines. I imagined Deputy Sean here almost 10 years prior as he turned Curtis, resident number 1, over to the processing folks. George, would you please follow me? I walked through the swinging double doors and into a hallway. To the right was a door with a wall-mounted plaque that read Station 1. We both walked into the room and Macie closed the door behind us. As the sign said, this is where our new residents first begin their introduction to Secure. Why don't you give me your jacket and baggage and I'll return them when you later leave Secure. Your watch as well, I'm afraid, and any jewelry that you are wearing, including your wedding ring. I'm going to step out of the room, and I'd like you to undress down to your underwear and socks. I placed a small drawstring cloth bag to hold your watch and cell-sat and jewelry, and a larger bag to hold your clothing. Then I'd like you to stand upon that platform until it tells you to stand off, at which point you can put on this robe. Just stand like you'd normally stand. Don't hold in your gut or anything out of the ordinary. And I'll be back in about 15 minutes, okay? Wow, I guess we're really doing this. I use my cell-sat to record my thoughts and interviews on, so I'm not sure how that is going to work out. All new residents go through this step. As to your recording requirements, Blackjack will provide you with a transcript of your visit when you leave. You can upload it to your cell-sat. Blackjack? I'll explain in a bit. Just understand that from the second you cleared the guard station and metal detector, you have been under second-by-second surveillance, as we all are, staff and residents. Macie left the room and I did as instructed. As promised, she knocked on the door and then re-entered a few minutes later holding an armload of clothing with some sneakers on the top. Here you go, George. Since the weather outside is so nice, today I just requested jeans, a t-shirt, and some sneakers. I also got you a light windbreaker type jacket just in case it gets chilly. I'll leave the room and be right back. I donned the blue jeans, green t-shirt, and white sneakers and draped the tan jacket over my arm. Everything fit perfectly. Macie returned after a few minutes. Well, look at you. The other residents will see you as just another newbie in town. What we dressed you with is basically enough to get you back to your living quarters where you can order things more to your liking, but it's not that bad of a look if you ask me. No, I feel pretty good about it. It reminds me of a new resident years ago who glanced at the pile of clothes I handed him and remarked, "Oh, bleep, I look like a bleeping Seahawk." But he didn't say bleep, which I'm sure you kind of guessed. Anyway, let me explain what just happened. When you stood on the platform, a laser scanner measured your body dimensions and the platform took note of your weight. This data was fed into Secure's computer system that we call Blackjack, which immediately ordered your clothing from the city's on-site clothing warehouse and had it directly transported to this center. So that was all done in just a couple of minutes? Yes. So this is all brand new stuff? Well, when you later order undergarments, yes for those, but regarding the other items, maybe yes and maybe no. If you were entering secure significantly obese, then probably no, because the obese don't stay that way for very long, and when they shun their excess weight, they also shun their baggy clothing for items that fit better. You'll see why that is a little later today, so follow me. Macie led me a little further down the hall. A restroom was to the left, but that was good for now. We darted into another room named Station 2. Lee Tai, I'd like you to meet George. Lee Tai would normally fit you at this time with a permanent location band, but since you'll be wearing your temporary band, that won't be necessary. Lee Tai, can you tell George a little bit about what a location band is and does? Yes, location band contain electronics plus battery. It tell Blackjack where you at always, anywhere insecure, any floor in building. Location band beep once if okay, beep all time if not okay. Misdemeanor crime and jail if you try to remove location band. Thank you, Lee Tai. These permanent bands fit better than the temporary ones, and that machine behind Lee Tai will burn a unique resident number into the band before it is fastened to a resident's wrist. As soon as the number is etched, the 3 Welcome to Secure signs just outside of the guard stations will update their population electronic numbers. Did you note our population as you arrived today? No, I'm sorry, Macie, I wasn't paying attention. Population is 23,901 right now. Well, thank you, Lee Tai. So, Macie, what is the maximum capacity of Secure? More than 29,000, but less than 30,000. I forgot the actual number. 29,755 include full mental unit. Well, there you have it. No include cohabitation. Right again, Lee Tai. George, you look puzzled, but I'll explain that in a bit later. Smartwatch now? Yes, Lee Tai, why don't you take care of that? Lee Tai opened up a drawer and removed the smartwatch, which she fastened to my right wrist. She told me that, unlike the location band, I was not required to wear my smartwatch at all times, but I would probably choose to do so once I learned of its capabilities. She said that it was preloaded with credits, whatever that meant. I bid Lee Tai farewell, and we continued down the hall to a service desk with a young man sitting behind it. A sign on the desk read Station 3. Macie and I sat down on the chairs in front of the desk. George, this is Bo. Oh my God, are you George Stoltz? In the flesh. Nice to meet you, Bo. When we process a new resident into Secure, in almost all cases, they have been high on drugs when they were arrested. They had already suffered through withdrawal symptoms while serving time in jail or prison. But you never know with the way that contraband always seems to find a path into those facilities. We will just point blank ask a resident if they need help, and if they do, I'd immediately accompany them over to the wellness center inside of Main Secure. Well, that seems only prudent. But like I said, for the most part, our incoming drug-addicted residents are only craving more drugs. And when I say only, I don't mean to poo-poo it at all. What we really would prefer to do is perform a full physical, dental, vision, and hearing test on new residents just as soon as we can in order to establish their health baseline. Unfortunately, less than half of our new residents want to have that done, and we really can't force the issue. We have a few more carrots to offer down the road to help persuade them, I should add. If they don't want to endure the wellness center gauntlet of testing right away, we want to at least find out a few things about their existing medical care, if any. For example, do they have medical professionals on the outside that they have gone to, even infrequently, who might have their records? Are they currently on any medication? To the best of their knowledge, do they have any food allergies or any other allergies? We also want to note a resident's religious information, if any, into their profile. Do they have dietary preferences, such as kosher meals? Do they require a prayer rug and call to prayer notifications, which Blackjack can deliver to a resident's living quarters as well as to their smartwatches and earbuds? Blackjack just gobbles up all that information. For example, if you told me right now that you had a peanut allergy, as soon as I entered that into your profile, Secure's food menu would never offer you anything that contained peanuts. We're talking real time. Macie, are you going to offer him some lunch in our cafeteria? George, are you hungry for lunch? Sure, I could eat. Well, when you look over the food menu, you wouldn't see any dish that includes peanuts. By the way, George, do you have any food allergies? No, I think I can eat just about everything. As for the other medical stuff, are you on any medication? No, Macie, I'm good in that department as well, and I don't need any special accommodations for my religion. Macie stood up from her chair and led me out of the hallway and into the small cafeteria. I counted 10 tables, and a few of them had people dressed like me. More Secure newbies, I'm thinking. Each table had an electronic tablet resting in a slotted receptacle, which I'm guessing was a charging station. Don't take offense, George, but Blackjack has determined from your weight and body measurements that you are a bit overweight. Nothing in the obese category, but overweight just the same. If you were an actual resident being processed, the food items on this menu wouldn't be what you are about to see. Blackjack would have immediately placed you on a weight loss diet. But since you are just a guest, we tweaked your profile so you can enjoy all the food that Secure has to offer. So, Blackjack thinks I'm fat. Yeah, I guess I have a little too much air in my spare. Interesting. I'm in the same boat as you, so don't feel bad. Here's the menu tablet. It's lunchtime, but you can order breakfast if that's what you would like. I think I might just do that. Macie instructed me how to bring up the various menus. She pointed to the calorie and protein counters at the top of the screen and how they changed as I selected my breakfast items. Evidently, my tweaked profile was telling Blackjack that I have reached my target optimal weight, but even though the menu is not restricted, I cannot exceed the total calories or total proteins that are offered to someone at their correct weight. As soon as Macie handed me the tablet, it changed to display my information. Not quite sure how that happened. According to the menu, my daily calorie intake maxes out at 2,835, and my daily amount of protein cannot exceed 68 grams. Those are the numbers that are in the counters at the top of the menu. I selected a 2-egg ham and cheese omelet, and the numbers instantly reduced by 270 and 25, respectively. Macie said that because Blackjack had no record of me eating a normal breakfast here, which I didn't because I arrived late morning, it just began with the daily maximums. I wasn't super hungry, so I ordered a fruit cup, reducing the numbers by 50 and 3, and a cup of black coffee, no change to the numbers. I pressed the order button and the tablet soon presented me with a countdown clock timer starting at 17 minutes. Apparently someone would bring my order out then. So, George, do you have any comments at this stage? I guess I'm amazed at just how science-y things are so far in Secure. You have no idea, George. The tablet's countdown clock had hit 0 and I'm looking around but don't see any waitress or server. Macie spots something and escorts me over to a wall with 4 doors, each door being roughly 16-inch square. Above one of the doors is a lit-up rectangular button that reads George Stoltz. Macie presses the button and the door opens with a bin soon coming out onto a tray receptacle. Macie unfastens the lid, holding both pieces back to the sides of the bin, and sitting in the center of the bin is my breakfast on a tray. There's a clear plastic lid over the meal, and the coffee is in what looks to be a thermal cup with a lid. I held the tray while Macie closed the lids back up and then pressed the button. The tray receptacle holding the bin retracts and the door closes. We walk back over to our table. George, let me tell you a little something about your meal. The eggs come from Secure's chickens. The ham is from hogs that we raise and slaughter. The cheese comes from Secure's herd of dairy cows, and we also have our own cheese factory. The butter used to cook the omelet also came from our dairy cows, and we make our own butter from that milk. Let's see, moving along to the fruit cup, we grow the strawberries, melons, and grapes in our greenhouse. The bananas, raspberries, and oranges are brought in from the outside, and also we don't grow the coffee beans, but they come from a roaster located in our estate. Are you shitting me? Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably figuring it out by now, but food is a very big deal inside of Secure. We'll leave it at that for now, as your week here will include tours of our grazing, growing, and preparing facilities. I excused myself from the conversation while I enjoyed my breakfast as lunch meal. It was one of the freshest, most flavorful meals that I have ever enjoyed. After I finished, I carried my tray back to the wall of doors, and Macie pressed the button that summoned an empty bin. I placed the tray inside of the bin, we sealed the top back up, and then sent it on its way. According to Macie, Secure's kitchen had a fully automated dishwasher facility, which is where my dirty dishes were heading off to. We left through the rear exit of the processing center, and my head was immediately on a swivel, taking it all in. George, as you know, Secure is an entire city. It sits on a relatively small 1,800-acre patch of land, but it is densely populated. Straight ahead is the West Tower, which houses roughly half of Secure's 30,000-ish population once we reach capacity. As you may have noticed when you first came through Main Secure's guard station, we are in West Secure, which is also referred to as Secure's West neighborhood. The residents in West Secure are from two distinct classifications of so-called misfits: repeat criminal convicts with non-violent rap sheets, and the formerly homeless who have volunteered to live in Secure for at least 1 year. I take it that E-Secure is for the violent rap sheet crowd? Well, those people, along with the seriously mentally ill population who have no means of support. Even though both of those populations lie in East Secure, they never mingle or even see each other. You'll get a chance to visit East Secure later this week, and don't worry, you'll be perfectly safe there, I guarantee it. Hey Macie, if you feel safe, then I'll feel safe too. So tell me a little more about the two residential towers. Okay. Well, both towers are just a few feet shy of 500 feet back when they were nuclear cooling towers, but now they exceed that height because we added things to the top level. The East Tower differs from the West in that it also houses our mental population in the lower third of the structure, and mental patients are housed in 6-person shared rooms, whereas everyone else in Secure gets their own private living unit. Each tower contains 49 stories, 50 if you include the roof. To your left is the building we came through, which is Main Secure. It is a 10-story structure, 12 if you count the roof, which is used as the jail's exercise yard, and the basement. As you can see, it is a very large building, 600 feet long and 200 feet wide. If you took Seattle's iconic Space Needle and laid it on its side, that's how long Main Secure is. It used to be the central turbine building for the nuclear plant's twin reactor structures, which you can see on each side. The basement floor, along with 5 above-grade floors, belongs to the Wellness Center, and floors 6 through 8 are for the Education Center. The 9th floor is where the Computer Center and Police Guard Station is at, and 10th floor houses City Hall as well as the courthouse. Those old reactor shells that you see on the sides of Main Secure, they are scheduled to be repurposed into additional residential housing. The east shell will be first, and I believe they will be breaking ground in about 4 months. Each shell is 280 feet high, and together they will add several thousand more units to Secure's maximum capacity. Macie, everything is so massive I feel a bit like a bug. Well, I'll show you a bird's eye view of Secure once we get you to your room. I was asked by our city manager, C. Carlos Gutierrez, just call him Mayor Carl, to put together an itinerary for your stay, so I want to expose our city to you little by little as if we're peeling back an onion. In that spirit, I'll just quickly show you the big pieces of Secure and then we'll head off into the West Tower, okay? And with that, Macie pointed out the 20-foot tall concrete wall that began up against Main Secure and headed south until it butted up against a large two-level building that headed off to the north but disappeared as the structure curved to the right. The wall is called the Secure Wall, and the large structure is known as Town Square. Partially visible on the other side of the wall over in East Secure was a huge building known as Central Kitchen, and nearby, but obscured by the wall, was Central Laundry. The barrier that holds Secure's population inside is called the Secure River, and I actually saw the backside of what is actually two rivers when I pulled into the parking lot earlier today. The rivers begin on the parking lot side of Main Secure, and they come off the south wall of the structure and head south to about the end of the parking lot, where they turn east and west and begin their journey around the perimeter of the city. The two rivers meet up at the far north end of the city, down next to the Chehalis River. Looking north as far as I could see, there was a section of a building that was sticking out to the side where Town Square curved out of view, and that was a plastic recycling center. Out of sight, to the north, was the Job Training Center, the Meat and Dairy House, and the Greenhouse. At that point, the city transitioned into the industrial zone, which contained two electrical energy power plants, a few utility structures such as sewer treatment plant and a solid waste facility, a large modular home factory owned by St. John's Corporation, a manufacturing facility called Plastic Fantastic, which created outdoor furniture, small residential greenhouses and such built using recycled plastics, another manufacturing plant called Almost Amish, which, as the name suggested, builds quality furniture, and a veterinary clinic and animal shelter. Macie mentioned that a 23-story office building was now under construction in the industrial zone. Ours is very much an information society these days, and Mayor Carl and the council have been busy recruiting companies to invest in Secure's workforce by providing them with office jobs. The tower is being constructed in East Secure, but provisions are being made where both populations can work in that building without bumping into each other. As I gaze northward, the quadrant of the city off to my left looks so out of place compared with the rest of the city. Rolling hills of green grass pastureland, with dairy cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys running about. For the sake of managing any diseases that might crop up, the livestock was kept separate from each other, but still, it made for an idyllic setting. Off in a distance in the middle of all that land was a satellite facility that fell under the care of the Meat and Dairy House, and it was where the cows were milked and the chicken eggs collected. So George, are you ready to see your room? Absolutely. Note: the next 3 chapters go into great detail concerning the floor layout of the residential towers, the unique mover cars employed to transport people and material, and the artificial intelligence system that the designers of Secure chose to elect as its sheriff. There is a lot of information to digest, I admit, and some of it might seem overly technical to a layperson. So please grab yourself a coffee, close out all distractions, and focus on getting through this part of Secure's story. I felt it necessary to deeply explore these 3 critical areas because they are, in my opinion, the key to how a city such as Secure can be populated by nothing but misfits, many of whom are violent misfits, and still function without descending into a riot-torn hellscape. Make no mistake, keeping the peace within the boundary river of secure is not just job 1, but jobs 2 through 10 as well.